Hi everyone! Welcome back to MomNMeBeauty. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure you noticed that my voice is not the same. I'm still recovering from that cold, but we absolutely wanted to tape this video. We're really excited. We wanted to share with you a couple of the e.l.f. kits, the holiday kits that you can find at Target. We wanted to share with you these kits because a lot of the times when you go to shop for maybe a teenager or a young adult who's just starting out with makeup, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, but you do want some good options. So we wanted to test out these kits to see if they would be good options. And also, you know, if you have a makeup lover who would like to have some new makeup that's relatively inexpensive, these are some good options as well. We're going to do two tutorials and a review. Now, just to go over the kits that we got, we did get this giant eyeshadow palette. There are 100 eyeshadows in this palette. And then we also got eyeshadow duos that came in a set of 3. Oh, and with those eyeshadow duos came a brush. I don't think either one of us used it in our tutorials, but it's in that collection. We also picked up 3 tinted lip balms, also came in a kit. And then finally we picked up an eyeshadow contour blush combo palette. So you've got eyeshadows here, and then in the bottom tray you've got your contours, blushes, and a highlighter. So without further ado, let's get into the tutorials. So for my eye look, I'm actually going to be working out of the extra large palette. This is, I think, over 100 shadows in it. And again, this is a first impressions for me, as it will be for Emma as well. And then I'm also going to be using some of the eyeshadow duos that we picked up. Now, just a note, the eyeshadow duos actually have a serial number on the back, and then each one is designated by like a hyphen and then a number. So the one that is like a chocolatey brown and a beigey, light beigey cream, that one is number 1. The one that's got like a mauve and like a tan is number 2. And then the one that's got like a deep chocolate brown and a cream color, no shimmer, is number 3. So that's how I'm going to designate which one that I'm using. And for the most part, I think I'm going to end up using number 2, which is the mauve and like the beigey bronze color. Okay, so to start off with, I want to go into that extra large palette. Now, because there's so many shadows in here, obviously they haven't named any of them. I'm going to give you the row and the column that I'm going in order to determine what shadow that I'm going to be using. And again, I'll show you on the screen. So for my crease color, I'm going to go into the 4th row down, the 4th column over. That's a nice matte, light chocolatey brown color, well, at least that's what I think it is. And that's going to go into my crease. First impressions, this very first shadow is extremely powdery, even coming out of the pan. I think that it's still a little bit too light, but let me just use it and then I might grab a deeper shade. And I don't think that's quite deep enough for my liking, so I'm actually going to go into the shade that is directly diagonal to that. It's a slightly deeper chocolatey brown, and we'll just put that over the first shade into the crease. Same thing with this one. I find it's like really powdery, but it's not giving me as much pigment as I expect or want. Now that can be a good thing for some people, especially for beginners. You don't want a whole lot of pigment all at once. You don't want to apply a whole lot of pigment all at once. You want to be able to get the blending technique down and be able to build up your color. So this actually might be a really good option for somebody who's just beginning. And there's a ton of neutral colors in this palette. Like, I would say 2/3 of this palette is different shades of browns, beiges, and yellows. Okay, we're gonna go into number 2 duo, which is what I was talking about earlier. And we're gonna pick up the mauve shade, and that's going to go on top of all this, but lower down into the crease to really define that area. So definitely this shade's got more pigment than the ones in the palette. So we're gonna go back into that giant palette. We're gonna go into the 5th row down, 4th column over. It's right next to one of the yellow shades. This is a shimmer shade, so we're gonna see how it applies wet. And that is going to be dabbed over my lid. And I definitely want some more intensity, so I think I'm gonna apply it with my finger. Now this is something I normally don't do because I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, but I have just cleaned my hands, so I guess it's not that bad. I'm gonna apply it with my finger over my lid, see if I can get a little bit more intensity. Yeah, I wouldn't say it gives me any more, about the same. Alright, so I'm gonna go back into that number 2 duo, back into the same mauve, and I'm just going to blend this shimmer shade and the crease color together. Next I'm going to go into the shade that is 5 rows down and 2 columns over from the right. This is like a deep burgundy color with a little bit of shimmer in it, not too much. I'm going to apply that to the outer V of my lid. Wow, even this shade isn't very pigmented. Again, really, really good for a beginner. If they want to start playing with color, they can use this and build it up. Alright, I think I'm going to use the same shade for underneath my lower lash line. For brow bone highlight, I'm going to go into the second row down, first column, and apply that ever so lightly underneath my brow. And lastly, for inner corner highlight, I'm actually going to go into the dual pan number 1, and I'm going to be using this lighter shade right here to apply to my inner corner, and I'm going to apply that wet. So that is the eye look complete. I'm going to just go off camera and apply my mascara and my eyeliner real quick. Then I will bring you back zoomed out quite a bit more, and we're going to try the bronzer and the blush and the highlighter from the other palette. We'll see how that works, and also one of the tinted lip balms. So I will be right back. Alright, so I got my eyeliner and my mascara out, and obviously you are zoomed out. I'm going to try the contour shade, the blush, and the highlighter that is in the other palette. So let's start with the contour, the bronze shade. Now there's quite a few that I can choose from, and because I have cool undertones, I'm very happy that most of the shades offered in this palette are also cool undertones. They have a couple, like I would say maybe the first and the second have a little bit more warmth or orange in them. The rest of them I would say pull awfully cool. So I think I'm going to take the third shade over in the bottom row and apply that just underneath my cheekbones. Whoa, these are pigmented, people. Be very careful, you do not need that much powder. Holy moly. This, on this side, this is still left over from my initial dip the first time. This, it's still left over from that. Now I gotta blend that out. Well, they blend really well, really easily, so knock off the powder before you apply it. Alright, I'm very pleased with that. I was not expecting it to be so pigmented though, so just keep that in mind if you're going to be using this yourself, or if you give this away to somebody for a Christmas present, for a holiday present. So I have 2 options, well really 3 options for blush. There's an orange, which, let's just be real, is not going to be a blush for my skin tone. Then we have like a really hot pink shade and a much more toned down corally color. I am not one for bold and bright, so I'm definitely going to be using the corally pink, the very lighter shade. And let's see if it's as pigmented as the contour. No, definitely not as pigmented, which I like. I don't like a blush that is like in your face bright or in your face pigmented. So I actually enjoy this shade. Okay, lastly from this palette, we're gonna try the highlighter shade. Now, looking at it in the pan, it doesn't look like it's got any shimmer to it whatsoever. Let's do a swatch and see what we got. Yeah, same thing, there is no shimmer in this whatsoever. So I think I'm gonna apply this sparingly to the top of my cheekbones just to lighten that area up. So you can tell that I already have the lipstick on. Now I'm really sorry, the bronzer, blush, and highlighter I recorded on a different setting. on my camera, so it's really dark. I'm very sorry about that. I've now fixed the lighting situation on my camera, but when I went to go stop the recording, I noticed that I hadn't recorded any of the lip product application. So I'm just going to talk you through that. In the kit, it works the same way as those eyeshadow duos. They're the way that you tell which lip balm that you're going to be using is on the bottom. It's given a serial number and then -1, -2, -3, depending on which one you're talking about. So there's no names for these lip balms. I don't believe that you can buy them individually. I might be wrong, but I don't think you can. And there's no color names attached to them, so the only way you can tell which one you're using is by that hyphen on the bottom. The mauve purpley shade is -1. The flesh colored corally pinky color, that's -2. And then the one that I'm wearing is -3, which is the red shade. Now I will say that these lip balm, or at least this lip balm, is incredibly pigmented for a lip balm, for a tinted lip balm. It's got a lot of color in there. It is somewhat sheer, like you can still tell that my natural lip color underneath. Not very pigmented natural lip color, by the way. And there is some sort of ingredient in here that's similar to a plumping lip gloss or a plumping lip balm. I can tell that there's like menthol or mint or peppermint on my lips, but it's not overpowering. I can tolerate it. I don't feel like it's really, you know, sucking the life out of my lips, and it's moisturizing because it is a lip balm. It is definitely moisturizing, but like you can still tell that there's that menthol or mint in there. So if you can't tolerate any sort of menthol, do not use these lip balms. Do not give them away to somebody who cannot tolerate them, because it is definitely an ingredient in these. So that is my completed look using these Christmas gift sets from e.l.f. found at Target. Now on to Emma.
So for my first step in my eyeshadow look, I'm going to take the bronzer shade in row 1, column 4 as my crease color. Nextly, on the eyeshadow part of the palette, I'm going to take the neon green shade and I'm going to apply that on the outer corner of my eyes. Nextly, I'm going to apply the more shimmery, darker green shade onto my lids. And then blend it out if it's too dark. So next, I'm going to take the silver shade at the top and I'm going to apply that with some Fix Plus onto my brush and put that down the center of my lids to create like a halo effect. Okay, just to make the halo a little bit lighter, I'm going to take the very last shade in the palette, which is in the very corner, and that only made it worse. So since neither of those techniques worked, I'm just going to blend it all together to try and create like a silvery greenish eyeshadow look. So for my last step, for my inner corners, I'm going to take the whitish pink shimmery color from the palette and use that as my inner corner highlight, like I mentioned before. I'm going to put some mascara on and I will be right back. And lastly, for my lip color, I'm going to use number 1. So that is my look, and now on to the review. Okay, so the only thing that I really used was this palette and one of the lipsticks. Now, let's start out with the palette first. I like the design. I like how you can take the tray out and you got more shades underneath it. But the actual product itself wasn't pigmented enough for me. I like a lot of pigment, really easy to blend out. I don't want to have to dig my brush into the pan, only to not get enough of what I need to have a baseline to work with. Yes, the packaging is nice, concept is nice, but I just feel like they're not pigmented enough for me. As for the lip balm, I mean, it's a tinted lip balm, so there's really not much you can do with it, but I would say it's pretty hydrating, and the amount of color it gives off is nice for what it is, but I do prefer like more matte liquid lipsticks and stuff like that.
So I use primarily the giant 100-piece eyeshadow palette for my look, and then I also use a couple of the duos. First and foremost, I have to say, just looking at the palette itself, about 2/3 of it is neutrals. It's browns, beiges, creams, and then down here in this corner right here, you have a couple shades of pop. Like you've got 3, 4 teals, about 3 blues, a couple grays, 2 purples, but that's it. The rest of it, like the vast majority of it, is browns, yellows, beiges, like all warm colors. I am not at all happy with that in terms of what I would use. Now, when I was doing my tutorial, I did realize that this would be an excellent palette for a beginner in makeup, somebody who's just learning how to apply eyeshadow. Great palette. The shades aren't like overly pigmented. They're pretty powdery, but you don't have to be excessively careful about how much powder you get on your brush before you apply it. You can build up the colors. So that would be a great idea for a beginner in eyeshadow or a beginner in makeup, because then they can learn the techniques of applying eyeshadow and blending everything out before they go in with something that's pretty bright or a more dramatic eyeshadow look, if you will. So I think it's good for a beginner. For me personally, I'm a little bit more advanced than that, so I'll use it maybe from time to time, but I'm not going to be pulling it every single day. Now, when you compare it to the palette that Emma used, a lot of the shades are incredibly similar. So the vast majority of this palette is also neutrals, browns, beiges, and even the pops of color that they offer in this palette, you can find a pretty close dupe in this palette. So I'm not impressed by that at all. They have a couple more purple shades in here, so I think I'm more drawn to those. And they do have 4 shades in here that all look like they're the same exact black shade. Like, I'm not even joking. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 black shades that all look so incredibly similar. Not at all happy with that at all. Even for a beginner, 1 pan of black is perfect for them to learn how to use and blend in. So that palette, I'm sorry, e.l.f., it's just, I think you'd get a better use for a beginner out of this palette than you would out of this one. As for the contour and the blush shades underneath, I applaud e.l.f. for putting all the different contour shades in here, because not only did they gear towards warm tone undertones, so like people with more yellow in their skin, but they also have cool tones in here, perfect for people like Emma and I who have more pink undertones. So I applaud e.l.f. for doing that. You really covered every bronzer contour shade imaginable. The blushes in here are a little bit ridiculous if you ask me. The orange shade is gonna look good on people who have got darker skin tones, like African Americans, even some like darker shades of Mediterranean ethnicity. It'll look great on you. Then we move into this bright pink, like neon pink. I have not touched it. Emma didn't touch it. I'm sorry, but that looks like a Barbie doll pink. It would not look good for a blush. Maybe for an eyeshadow, but definitely not for a blush. And then they've got one other color that you could use for a blush. Yes, I loved it. It looked great on my skin, but that's my skin tone. It may not look so good on people who've got like a yellow undertone. So not at all happy with the blush selection that they put in here. And this highlighter honestly is ridiculous. There's no shimmer in it whatsoever. It's completely matte. It's good for underneath your brow bone, but that's probably the extent of it. It's not going to give you any shimmery or pearlescent effect. It's not going to reflect the light on the top of your cheekbones. It didn't on mine, so I don't think it's going to do it on anybody else. So that's that palette and my thoughts on that. As for the duos, they do offer a lot more pigment than either one of the eyeshadow palettes do, but they're limited. So you've got like 2 shades of brown in here, you got 2 shades of like a mauve or a pink in here, and then you've got 2 more shades of brown in this duo. There is another set of 3 eyeshadow duos that I think was warm. They called this the cool set and the other one was a warm set. I'm not exactly sure what shades were in that one, but I kind of feel a little disappointed that they didn't give us a little bit more variety or wider variety of shades in these trios. And then my thoughts on the lip balms. I am so impressed by how much pigment is in these tinted lip balms. I have on the red one, like I showed you in the tutorial. I am completely impressed by how much pigment is in there. It's not like liquid lipstick pigmented. It's still a little bit sheer enough where you can see your natural lip color underneath, but still it's not like a clear lip gloss or a lip balm. It's pretty tinted. So I am very happy with that. They also do have menthol in them, which can plump up your lips. It wasn't overpowering, and I feel like that menthol feeling and taste and smell went away within about 15-20 minutes for me. So very pleased with these.
Now, like my mom mentioned before, with the larger e.l.f. eyeshadow palette, you do have to build up the colors, and same with this, you have to build them up. But for me, since I've been doing makeup for a while now, I find that it's easier for me to put on a really pigmented eyeshadow that looks crazy to begin with, and then blend it out. Building up the eyeshadow colors is hard for me because if I try to keep on putting it on, I'll either mess it up really badly or it looks like I'm not doing anything at all. So that's another reason why I'm not a big fan of this. Plus, it's just really bulky and heavy. So traveling with it's probably not a good idea either. So that is it for today's YouTube video. We both hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to give this video a like if you liked it, and hit the subscribe button down below, and the little bell next to it to be notified of all of our new videos. And remember, we post 2 videos a week, one on Mondays, which is a Mom and Me Day, and on Thursdays, which is either Teen Take or Mom Moment. Be sure to comment down below if you have tried any of these products, and if you want to try them, or what your thoughts are on them if you have them already.
Also, let us know in the comment section below what is on your wish list from Santa for the holiday season.
Be sure to connect with us on social media, first on Instagram under MomNMeBeauty and Emma_N_2004, and on Pinterest with me under the same username. Again, we both hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you next time in our next Mom and Me video.
Bye everyone!